My name's Jen Saffron, and I'm the owner of Sprezzatura Catering Kitchen and Cafe and the co-owner of Millvale Market. Herbs are critical to creating flavor profiles. One of the things that people often remark about Sprezzatura is that our food tastes very fresh. And one of the reasons why it tastes very fresh is we use fresh herbs. So having that freshness brings a kind of flavor profile, but also just a sense of aliveness. How can herbs change or impact a dish really can depend on how the herbs are cooked, if they're raw, if they're in the presence of other herbs. That's something to think about, is the way that things are brought together. When you think about something like, for example, lamb, that can handle a lot of herbs because it's got a depth to the flavor that it can handle a lot of herbs. Do I think I would want to overwhelm a pasta dish with tons and tons and tons of herbs? Probably not. The pasta itself is a vehicle for something else. When you think about basil as an example, when it's raw, it's so peppery and front of your mouth and very forward. But if you were to cook it, like lay leaves down in a lasagna, it's subtle. So it depends on what you do with it. I'm a real fan of winter foods and fall foods. Herbs can present themselves then in the kind of more earthy way, like sage, rosemary. The more intense herbs, you can slow roast those things. You can lay branches of rosemary underneath a pork roast and then remove the branches in the end. Create an aromatic. You don't have to incorporate it all the time as like an actual ingredient. I think the most underrated herb would be the one that maybe people don't know about because of cultural difference. No matter where you go on this planet, herbs absolutely have cultural significance. Flavor profiles in places that I haven't even visited, like Central America, and the flavor profiles there are very different than the things that I cook with as an Italian-American cooking heritage recipes. We make so many things with fresh parsley, because parsley is this ubiquitous herb that goes with almost everything. And it's just going to bring out a brightness and a leafy flavor that makes you know that this is fresh food. I do think it's important to think about what people have access to. What's going to grow next to your back door when you're cooking. I think how traditions from our home country of Italy can come and manifest itself in the United States depends so much on regionalism of the United States. Some of it depends on how people live in community and share ideas. What people are interested in buying influences what people can kind of carry on from the old country. When you think about all of the long-standing ways that we practice the ritual of belonging, it begins and ends with a meal. It's always about breaking bread at the table, being together, tasting things together, and talking about it. When we share something that is meaningful, it touches people. Sourcing food and sourcing herbs can be challenging sometimes, especially in the face of climate change. What's happening in Ukraine and how that's impacting the global food supply. I do think that's one of the reasons why it's now more than ever a great time to support local growers. Thinking about the quality of the food that is fresh and local as opposed to conventionally produced produce and herbs that are on trucks for a long period of time, that have lost their nutritional value, that don't offer as much taste. I think it's also really important to think ethically. Who do I want to give my money to? Who do I want to support? And, locally, too, I do want to mention Gardens of Millvale. They're doing such great work. They bring mint and basil routinely to Millvale Market. That's about as hyper-local as it can get. Trying to decrease the carbon footprint of where we receive our produce and herbs, I think, is on everyone's agenda. Like us and follow us at Sprezzatura PGH. That's Sprezzatura PGH. And at Millvale Market, I think you might be really surprised if you come out to Millvale and see all the amazing things that are happening in our borough. It's pretty fantastic.